Okay, thanks. The reason that we call to this presser, amongst others, it is to consolidate the work of the city. What is the executive mayor doing? Some of the developments, and obviously some of the things we'll be doing moving forward. But I'm not going to get into that space. I'm going to allow the big chief to greet you and then interact with you on those matters. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. You are most welcome. Let me start by saying, in our quest to ensure that our people receive the services needed and to ensure that we get our systems in place and that nothing stands before us, we have been in our journey to stabilize the city. We can proudly put before you that we are now beginning to see that light that is leading us to the end of the tunnel. And for that, we have received a communique from the Minister of Kokta, Mengadime, to inform us that the intervention team that was here, that was composing of a team from her office and that from finance, has since been removed, and that the city must now run its own affairs. However, this section 139 does not suggest, subsection 7 does not suggest that our city is still not under the care of administration. Safe to say, as progress has been made, that aspect has been removed. And you would know that now we have to run our own affairs. And the cabinet having given us that, it still has to now, subject to the final assessment, give us that leeway. We must also put before you, ladies and gentlemen, that in our effort also to make sure that the city becomes financially stable, with the debt that we have been experiencing from various sections of where our collection points are, sitting with over 10 billion owed to the municipality by our residents, by the business component and government institutions and other stakeholders. We went to the council and we have now put measures in place to give debt incentive schemes to those that are owing the municipality in their categories. One category being that of residents. We have decided to curtail to those that would be paying to the municipality a 50% discount 90 days down the line, to ensure that if you come, you pay your 50%. We give you an incentive of another 50%. To business, we give them 5%, and also touch on the element of interest on a case-to-case business that will be handled administratively. We're therefore encouraging our people to take advantage of this arrangement and come and pay so that the municipality must be financially viable, as we do also encourage people to pay their current. What will follow from this will be, given that we have now unbundled and we are busy making sure that we enhance our collection, the discipline of switching off on those that are not honoring their debts will be the order of the day. That's how hard we shall have to go in ensuring that this municipality becomes financially viable. These monies are needed to service the potholes. They are meant to deal with sewer spillages, and they are also meant to help us create a very strong and viable metropolis that must help deal with those that are not adhering in ensuring that our city is clean and our bylaws are adhered to. We are going to be harsh on that. May I also put before you, ladies and gentlemen, that we have now received the report that served before the Council of the Iptn, a report that was instituted to ensure that that system of providing services to our people was inundated by a number of misfortunes and corrupt practices. That report has been put before us. And that report, it's now a subject of implementation. Now, we have taken the following posture with regard to how the report must be followed, which are governed by law processes, and as law-abiding institution, will leave no stone unturned to ensure that what worried our people and what worried the metro and what happens to be not what should have been served accordingly is dealt with thoroughly. Now, the report is before us, and the report is inundated with a number of allegations by people who did not follow the prescript of how finances are run with regard to how things must be done by the municipality. In that report, we are faced with three critical recommendations with regard to officials that were responsible for this program of providing services to our people, the one of Iptn. It relates to procurement of buses. It relates to infrastructure. It also relates to the vehicle operating company, popularly known as VOC. Some of these mishaps got expressions through those programs and processes. The report further recommends before us that disciplinary hearing must be conducted by those officials who did not or who are subject to be disciplined as a result of the provision of this service. The report also encourages criminal charges against those that would have messed up along the provision of the service. And the report also relates to recovery of the resources of the municipality from those that shall have to when it reaches finality. The steps that we must take within the law is that we are now going to be sourcing legal advice on the best modality and in keeping with the law on how we must now put into place the implementation of this and involve, therefore, the law enforcement where they are necessary and where they are needed to exercise their duties. And at the tail end of it, the law shall apply with regard to those that would have actually offended and misuse of the resources of the government. Now, we are at that point where we have a prescribed period to ensure that this report and its content gets implemented. Now, those that would know the law is that after applying our mind on our report and bundling it to where each item of it must go to, then involve the law enforcement and allow the process to unfold. And once it is in the hands of the law enforcement, the law must apply. And the law shall have to be adhered to its fullest detail. Now, I'm putting this report before you so that the public must know that as the ruling party, the party in government, have a responsibility when charged to face up to communities that some of them did come forward, and we would like to thank them, to indicate to the municipality that things are not going accordingly. So we'd like to put that fair and square. We will do our best and account to the Metro as the administration and as the executive to say to them, these are the stages that we're following, and from time to time we'll come back to you as media and give you all the steps that we are taking. And we'll actually be as transparent as we are. We would like not to allow any mischief to interpret or misinterpret this report otherwise, because it is black and white. For all what is needed is that it must be implemented. I wonder whether this is loud and clear, Kondile, and if it is so, please, you can ask me any question. If I have the ability to do so, I'll answer you. If it is legal and it is a question that still has to be processed, I will also account. But my responsibility is to ensure that I account to the community of Mangaung, and that's the report before you. Thank you.
Thanks, Major. Colleagues, I am sure that Majoro is very clear. But one of the things that he's emphasizing is that he is running a transparent municipality. I think at the heart of this, it's transparency, and you see every step that he takes in terms of decision making, in terms of running the municipality. But Majoro, I think, colleagues, one of the things that Majoro has emphasized, if you have noted it, it is the incentive scheme that we will be running. And Majoro is very, very explicit on it in his endeavor to ensure that revenue enhancement is the order of the day. I am going to allow you to interact with the executive mayor. Obviously, the deputy executive mayor is here and other leaders in the MECO. And I will open up for questions. And then you introduce yourself, the name of your media establishment. One-on-one will be dealt with by Temba. Temba is going to arrange those one-on-ones so that you can have a proper, intimate interaction with the executive mayor. I've noted you, Ricky. Let me take you for now. Noted, is it Lele? Yeah.
The Department of Transport came to the municipality to hand over the report to the council. So the approach they took was that because the report is sensitive when it comes to names of people, it has to be done, Mariki, in committee. Anything that is done in committee, in council, that's when it involves, amongst other things, either names of companies or names of people which they've got the right to defend themselves. So for as long as whatever is reported either or involves allegations, you have got no right to begin to splash names of people who have got the right to defend themselves. So I'm sure that one does tell why the report was handled in the manner that it was handled, that it had to be reported that way. It's a procedural discipline as part of the prescript of the law. So the report was then brought to us by the department, and it has been handed over to us. Now, even for us to be able to release the names of the people, we must first make sure that it is first handed, those names, those that have committed these allegations that are put before us, and I call them allegations, because until proven otherwise, they remain allegations. But this allegation must be then subjected to the police. And when there is a case to answer, then names come to fore. and I'm sure these are some of the procedural discipline that we all know, that you cannot put the cart before the horse. So the steps that we need to take is to look at the report and hand over part of the report where it must be handled. And when those institutions are doing their work and there are compelling circumstances to release names of those that are affected, names will come forward. With regard to internal disciplinary measures, we will be dealing with those internally, and we will also pronounce the product of internal processes that would have unfolded. Should they supersede internal measures, they will also be handed over to the law enforcement. Where are these people currently? Some of them are still working within our institution. We are sitting with a matter that is called an alleged processes. Hence, we are going to take measures to make sure that we reach out to some of these people through what was proposed by the report. The amount of money that is subject to the institution that will finalize, and the court of law will tell how much we have lost. The reality is that monies were abused, figures were disclosed to us as the council. We are now subjecting those figures to the Hawks, to the law enforcement, to the police, whatever structure, to SIU. We are subjecting everything where it must go to. Trust us on that. On the tax incentive schemes, yes, indeed, their money is hanging there. And we are saying, in order for us to be able to be accountable in terms of our books, we cannot have a book that cannot have a closure. But we also cannot have monies that are hanging there that cannot be collected. So these are some of the measures that we are saying we're putting in place to make sure that we get to also work towards making sure that at the tail end of our accountability to the Auditor General, this municipality must also be able to account to say, this is what we did, this is how we managed to recover our money. But in the bigger scheme of things, it is monies that must be redirected towards servicing our people. Because the thrust of why I'm standing before you is that we must service the people of Mangaung. And the people of Mangaung dearly need this service. We cannot therefore allow their monies to be hanging in the wilderness. There was another issue, Kondile, that was beginning to be very critical in the sphere of information dissemination. Let me put it clear to you, ladies and gentlemen. As we dig deep to what you call ghost workers, a historical factor that we found it, we are not interested in chasing people at the point of trying to brandish them and we know them. We are arresting people. Ours is to implement the measure that there has been an allegation that there are ghost workers in this municipality. What we are doing, we are now arresting them. As we speak to you now, I've instructed the HOD of corporate to go to the police and open cases. So we are actually implementing, not digging what we don't know. We're implementing, not digging what we don't. What has been dug before must be implemented. So we're collating all documents. And there is this part, Sipoman, that wants to say how many people. The number to us is not as critical as the act in making sure that we bring to stop this tendency. So those that have committed this heinous crime, stealing the money of the municipality, doing all this, doing that, we're dealing with them. Mariki, the concept of state capture is too rich, you know. It's very rich and very inherent and quite complex. It's a lecture on its own. But you know, it takes, amongst other things, collapsing government systems, subjecting it to individuals who must on their own determine the direction with which spending, accountability, and all other related disciplinary processes in implementing the programs are captured. Now, it is actually in your own interpretation to look at it as state capture. But the fact that we are putting it to an end and we are calling things to order, we are actually putting, what we are saying, action-orientated measures to curb even anything that might take any form or content of suggesting state capture. So we are in charge here. We're in control. So once we're in control and within the prescript of the law and the discipline, it ceases to take the form of a state capture. So don't look at it that way. We're calling things to order.
Thanks, Majoro. Colleagues, Rigirik, Lele. I'm sure Majoro is clear. I'm going to take Linky, Slow, and Goge in that order. Linky?
My name is Linky Means. I just want to know, where is everything with this bus system at the moment? How is it going forward? Is there money to take it forward? Is it going to be implemented soon?
Okay.
I think that was the last question, eh?
Let's allow them to finish.
Are you, Mariki? I see you're overcharged there.
Who's the next one? Slow, and then Goge. We'll finish with Lele. Oh, that will be the second round. Marigi and Lele will be the second round. Slow, come.
Okay, my name is Loma from Laramuman. I'm from One Free State TV. Executive Mayor, speaking of transparent municipality, there was a press conference held by M7, ASD, Mangawi Saves Delivery, and it has surfaced on that press conference that there are 54 people have been deployed at Eastern Lake, and the posts were not advertised. So what is your reaction, Executive Mayor, on that one? And my second question, I heard that the Executive Mayor, he said they will deal with the issue of the ghost workers. Now we are starting to be confused as a media house, as an individual, because the very same people, the M7, the AASD, they have provided the media with the document that has the evidence that there's a serious corruption and maladministration. And the last question, how many bodyguards have been deployed to protect the executive mayor? I thank you.
Thanks. I'm sure Executive Mayor has noted that. But I know that the mayor is going to ask you again and say, as the media house, when you see a document with 54 names, do you think it's legitimate? Have you scrutinized it and checked the legitimacy of that document? So I'm sure that is your responsibility as a journalist. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, Goge from EMCA. Once all the internal and external processes have been concluded, would there be an appetite from the municipality to make the entire report public, taking into account that those who are implicated would have been informed and the external processes of going to the police would have been concluded? It appears to me as an outsider that this report is indeed huge. That's number one. But number two, do you perhaps know by any chance if there are any of those implicated who are intending to challenge the report? Because I would assume it would be of interest to you because it might delay the implementation of the recommendations. Thank you.
Thanks. No. Let's allow the Executive Mayor to deal with this and have the second round.
Yeah. Let me start with the last question. It's pregnant. It's huge. It really touches on sensitive toes. I want to believe that as we disseminate some component of this report to the law enforcement units. And at the point when people are now charged, quite obviously, it will be on a specific item, and that will disclose even the monies, the act and the monies, the content and form. And on that basis, there will be that element of people now challenging what is now being put before them. Only 10,000. So when now then you must answer. Now at that point, those figures will be now coming out glaringly to say Mariki has committed this crime, and therefore can Mariki answer herself based on the crime that is put before us. And the law enforcement unit also, they will also come out if there is a compelling case that they see that there's something we can charge on the basis of this. Quite clear, those processes are now going to be outside the prescript of the municipality. They will be subject to the processes of the law. The municipality has got the right, at the end of the day, to decide what to do with the report in the final analysis. But I want to believe that at the tail end of events, you may not even have the interest to know more about the content of the report, because they will be in public. People would have been exposed to this and the other. Let's allow that process to unfold. In fact, I must add to say to the answer to you, Sipomandla. As and when we are unfolding throughout the implementation of what the report recommends, will inform the people through you. From time to time, we'll call you, so that we must not allow a situation where the report might end up being distorted. It's not our report, it's a report that we must implement because it has affected our operation, but it comes from the Department of Transport, subject to the request of members of the community and whistleblowers. What is transparent is what I'm doing. What is transparent is when you come forward an account. What is transparent is when you don't hold information. But what is transparent does not suggest you must then trample law processes and become reckless. That also remains transparent. It's not subject to, it's transparent. I cannot trample people's rights because I want to be transparent. I must observe the law. Namariki, that becomes transparent. But inside that transparency, is when somebody comes and say, I've got bodyguard outside the prescript of the law. Please, I actually am not afraid. My bodyguard in this metro are the people of this metro. They protect me before even I have bodyguard next to me. So I'm safe. That does not mean criminals and some people may attack me, but I'm very safe. Actually, if it was according to me, I wouldn't even need someone next to me, because I've got that military background. I know how to protect myself. So if this question is meant to check how unsafe I am, before I can even be given a bodyguard, I feel safe. And I am so convinced that I can attack anything that can come before me. I still have that energy. But for your information, I have people that are assigned to me according to the book. Not anything extra or less. It's just by the book. So let me give you the task to go and read. What does it entails for a mayor to be given bodyguard? How many? I actually have a driver and a bodyguard and others, or maybe, but I don't know. Go check. But what is in that book is what I'm doing. Anything outside the book is not me. You see, operational matters, like allegation that comes, 50 people are hired in St. Lake, 100 this way and that way. I'm not interested in those things. What I'm interested in is that if you operate outside the law, I deal with you. So before my table, there's no allegations like that. So whoever wants to entertain that allegation, like the team that we make reference to, I don't know whether it's a political party or it's what, for as long as I know is that these are some of the people that were in this municipality. So they might even have rich information around some of these issues. My advice to them is that please, before they can even make allegations, I am an open door mayor kind of approach. They must come and help me save the money of the community. Anytime they are welcome to come and help me. Say, Mr. Mayor, we think there are people that are hired here that you don't know. Watch this, I'll deal with it. And I'll deal with those that would have done that. What I'm dealing with now is what is in the books of the municipality, that they are ghost workers. And we must make a distinction. There are people that were hired here outside and embellishing, I use the correct term, embellish structure of the municipality in a way to try and make work effective by councillors. And that ended up not being endorsed by the province and the national minister. And because that endorsement was not made, that structure had to be frameworked according to what the municipality can afford. And people lost their jobs. They were working, they are not ghosts. They were here. They were doing day in and day out work. You can't call such people ghost workers. Rather, you can talk about maybe unauthorized expenditure, which the municipality has handled. Here we are talking about people who are nowhere to be seen. Even their shadows cannot be noticed, but they are earning. If someone will earn being in prison and even conduct overtime being in prison, at least that one, you can't even call him a ghost. You have touched base with him. There are those that we can't even see, but salary pay slips are going out monthly. We are not digging on them only, but we are now arresting them because they've earned. They will tell us who actually authorized them to do so. We have suspended our senior managers, some of them who did some of these things. We're acting. We're not, and these things are standing before us to provide services. So let me not allow people who would actually want me to begin to get into a debate with them as to define who is ghost, who's not ghost. I'm not interested in that. What I'm interested in is that we must clean this municipality. That is why Section 139 has been removed on our head, because we are hard at work to get the municipality to be in the right direction. Have I answered it?
Yes, the timelines for Lily.
Look, when I talk about the timelines, we must also be rounded around how government conduct its operation. Now that the report is before me, I've got 90 days to make sure that this report is implemented. If I jump 90 days, then I would have broken the law. I will also be guilty as charged. So inside my prescribed time frame, watch the space. We will make sure that we leave no stone unturned as this municipality. We have got a time frame before us to make sure that we satisfy what is contained in that report, and the work start now. The work start now. We are not going to wait because we have got this period. The next meeting that I have is the meeting between me and other institutions that shall have to touch base with the report. That is law enforcement and others. Thank you.
Thanks, Major. I'm going to take the last round. I'm coming to you. Linky, I'll come to you. We're going to take the last round. Oh, hold it. I'm here. We're going to take the last round. And that last round, I'm sure most of you guys who still want to raise something, will deal with it. But as for Linky's As for Linky's question on the buses, I'm going to ask Deputy Executive Mayor to also make an input. Linky?
No, thank you very much, Dr. Kondile. The issue of buses is still continuing. In the stage, the program, we are doing the dry run and the testing of the buses. On the 16th of March, we'll go on live with the running of the buses in the area of Brandwag and UOFs. Thank you very much.
Thanks, DEM. Linky? Yes, Rick, let me note you. Lele, you wanted to take a second bite? Or right, get time frames? Okay. Yes, Papa. Jimmy? Let me take Rick first, and then it will be Jimmy. Yeah. I don't want to suffocate you. I just need order. Yes.
I just wanted to know, will this buses be run on a profit, or are we going to have to subsidize them? Because I'm not sure if this buses can be run on a profit with expensive oil and petrol prices. And I think there was a decision taken in the council. There was a problem, a discussion there, and I think that the buses can't be profitable.
Okay.
So, who's going to pay for the buses? For the operation of the running of the buses?
Okay. I thank you, Rick. I know for the fact that the executive mayor is dealing with the entire program. Firstly, Majoro is addressing the issue of the report from the National Department of Transport. There's a second phase that deals with operations. And those operations falls under the Deputy Executive Mayor. I don't know if she will want to have a wait on that. Executive Mayor.
No, thank you very much. The buses is run by the VOC. I think is the one that Executive Mayor mentioned. It's according to the regulations that were given by the National Department of Transport, that how do we run the issue of Iptn regarding the buses and everything. Now, the issue of the Iptn, it's from the grant of the Iptn that were given by the National Transport, which is have conditions. How are we dealing with the issue of subsidizing the VOC for them to run the issue of buses of Mangaung? Thank you very much.
Okay. Lingy, I take it you have an idea now of the processes here. In the absence of any, I'm looking, Jimmy. Jimmy, come on.
Good morning, Executive.
Where are you coming from?
Jimmy Mapokosha from Central TV. A question that I have for Executive Mayor. You mentioned that the HOD, you have instructed the HOD to go and open cases. Now, the question that I have is, will we be invited when the HOD goes and open those cases, so that in this 90 days, we are able to say, this is what the Executive Mayor has said, and then in the process, these were the activities that took off.
Okay. This is the last question, eh?
Yes.
Mariki, quickly, let's get, your hand is quite in the air. do it quickly.
I just want to ask, what will happen, for instance, with a guy like Mr. David Nthatisi of Nthatisi Wheels? The bosses was procured through Nthatisi Wheels with a back-to-back contract with Standard Bank, where a loan was, they loaned the money from Standard Bank to buy the buses, but they, in the meantime, getting hundreds and hundreds of millions every year from national government to buy the buses, but why was it necessary for the loan at Standard Bank?
Okay.
And what will happen with a guy like David Nthatisi? from Muteri Wings, a close friend of Mr. Ismachashuri. We must be saved here. This what happened here.
Let's raise questions, Mariki.
Yeah. Let me start with this question. This is my last question. Mariki, you're overcharged. I could tell why your hand was in the air. Big brother, let me answer you this way. We're dealing with two issues here. The cases that our HOD is going to open is on those that have stolen the money of the municipality as ghost workers or shadow workers, or people who are in the employ of the municipality but are not working. Some are in jail, others are from jail, others are outside this province, others are somewhere where we don't know, but they are being paid. Those are the cases we are going to open from today. Like we are saying, we are not digging only, we are acting. Gone are those days that would be told there is this and that report and there's no action on it. It's not going to happen that way. We are assigned to act here and save the situation. So we're doing it. The cases that relate to Iptn are subject to us handing over the discipline to those discipline to the law enforcement that would then act and start opening those cases. That too, you would actually be informed because it will then become public. Once there is a case to answer, then it gets open. There is a case number, then it's open to public. You know, there is a case number, things like that. But Mariki, let me come to this one. You see, from our side, we are going to deal with what is contained in the report. And if the names that you are selling are in the report and must answer, people will answer. But for now, we can't proudly say there is a Mr. So-and-so or a Mr. So-and-so or a Miss So-and-so to you, because people have got the right to defend themselves. But they must do it at the right platform, and at the right platform, names will be released of those that would have committed this heinous crime. If I'm not mistaken, at some point I read you from the newspaper dealing with this issue, and it's like you are assaulted. So I can understand why you are so elated and angry. But that's not our space. Ours is to say, let's save the people of Mangau from these abusers if they are there, and let's bring back our money, and let there be those that did not do things accordingly be called to order or be disciplined. And even the processes of disciplinary hearings, we can't determine as to the content subject to the completion of those cases. So I'm sure this might have answered you. Please go write, those that write to say, as the people of Mangau, run by a very able and capable metro in making sure that it becomes accountable. We are now accounting, and tell our people that we are on point in trying to make sure that we bring things to normality. On that note, I'm done.
Thank you, Majore. Colleagues, the last phase now. Temba, Majoro, one-on-one, I recommend yet. I know Gutilele, Tsebza and Goge and Jimmy and Slow will be interested in getting a sound bite, yeah. And then for the journalists at the back, thank you for attending. In future, Majoro has promised me a smaller budget that you must not go without having tea.
Yeah, and then that's bad.
Yeah, Majoro is committed to.
It's quite tight.
So, colleagues, thanks for pitching up, Goge. Thanks for pitching up in a short space of time, Lele. You have been looking for the story. Yeah.
क्या हो रहा है?